Hey everyone, welcome back to Speak Smart IELTS, the podcast where we talk about real issues that shape the world and your mindset, while helping you sound like a confident, fluent English speaker. I'm your host, Mia, and today we're diving into a topic that's close to the heart of our planet and our future: how to make your lifestyle greener. Now, when people hear the word green, they often think of forests, recycling bins, or electric cars. But living a greener lifestyle isn't just about hugging trees or driving a Tesla. It's about making small, meaningful choices in our daily routines that reduce waste, conserve energy, and create a healthier environment for everyone. It's not just a global challenge, it's a personal responsibility. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's talk about what it really means to live sustainably in today's fast-paced, consumption-driven world. Let's start with something simple: our mindset. Before we even talk about switching to eco-friendly products or cutting down plastic, we need to understand one core idea. Being green is not a trend, it's a lifestyle. It's a long-term commitment that grows from awareness and empathy. You can't live greener just because it looks cool on Instagram. You live greener because you realize that every small decision, the coffee you drink, the clothes you wear, the food you eat, has an impact. Think about your morning routine. You wake up, brush your teeth, maybe take a shower, grab a coffee, and head to school or work. Each step involves a choice that can either harm or help the planet. Do you leave the tap running while brushing your teeth? Do you use a disposable cup for your coffee? Do you drive alone to the office instead of carpooling or taking public transport? These may seem like tiny things, but they add up, and they define how sustainable your lifestyle really is. Living greener doesn't mean you have to go extreme, like living off the grid or growing your own food, though that would be amazing. It's more about progress, not perfection. You start where you are, do what you can, and keep improving. One of the easiest steps you can take is reducing waste. We live in a throwaway culture, where convenience often outweighs consciousness. We buy things, use them once, and toss them away without thinking twice. But here's the truth: nothing really goes away. That plastic bottle you used once could still exist 400 years from now, floating somewhere in the ocean or buried in a landfill. So, what can we do? Start small. Bring your own reusable bag when you go shopping. Use a refillable water bottle instead of buying single-use plastic ones. Invest in a good coffee tumbler and skip disposable cups. These habits may seem tiny, but when millions of people do them, the difference is massive. And let's be real, going green doesn't have to be boring or inconvenient. In fact, it can be quite stylish and fulfilling. Many brands today are moving toward sustainable fashion, using organic cotton, recycled fabrics, and ethical production. So, the next time you shop, look for clothes that last longer, that are made responsibly, and that don't cost the earth, literally. Speaking of fashion, have you ever thought about how much waste fast fashion creates? According to studies, the fashion industry contributes up to 10% of global carbon emissions and is one of the largest consumers of water. Every time you buy a cheap t-shirt that you'll wear twice, you're contributing to that chain of waste. So maybe instead of buying 5 cheap shirts, you could buy one that's high quality and timeless. Minimalism, in this case, is not just good for your wallet, it's good for the planet. Now let's talk about something that hits closer to home: energy consumption. We use electricity every single day, often without realizing how much we waste. Leaving lights on in empty rooms, charging devices overnight, using energy-hungry appliances, all these habits consume energy that often comes from burning fossil fuels. A simple mindset shift can change this. Unplug devices when they're not in use. Turn off lights when you leave a room. And if you can afford it, switch to energy-efficient bulbs and appliances. You know, there's a common misconception that going green is expensive. People think, oh, I can't afford to buy organic food or eco-friendly products. But the truth is, sustainability isn't about spending more. It's about spending smart. It's about consuming less, reusing more, and choosing quality over quantity. When you buy something durable instead of disposable, you're not only saving the planet, you're saving money in the long run. Food choices are another powerful way to live greener. Did you know that the food industry is one of the biggest sources of greenhouse gas emissions, especially meat production, particularly beef, which generates far more emissions per gram of protein than plants or grains? Now, I'm not saying everyone should go vegan overnight. But even reducing your meat consumption, say, trying meatless Mondays or choosing plant-based meals a few times a week, can make a huge difference. And let's not forget food waste. In many developed countries, up to 1/3 of all food produced ends up in the trash. Imagine all the resources, the water, the energy, the labor that went into producing food that never gets eaten. To fight this, we can plan meals better, store food properly, and get creative with leftovers. That's not only sustainable, it's also a way to respect the effort behind every bite we take. Another area where we can make a real impact is transportation. Our daily commutes contribute heavily to carbon emissions, so how can we fix that? If you live in a city, take the bus, metro, or ride a bike instead of driving alone. Carpool with coworkers or friends. Walk when you can. Not only does this reduce emissions, but it also improves your health and saves you money on gas. If you're thinking, but what difference can one person really make? Remember this. Individual actions inspire collective change. Every big movement starts with small steps. When people see you making eco-friendly choices, they start to question their own habits too. That's how culture shifts, slowly but powerfully. Let's take technology as an example. Many people don't realize how much digital habits affect the environment. Every time you stream a video, store data online, or send an email, it uses energy through data centers. Of course, we're not saying stop using the internet, but we can be smarter. Delete unnecessary emails, unsubscribe from spam, lower video resolution when it's not needed, and avoid leaving hundreds of unused files in cloud storage. These may seem like small details, but they're part of the bigger sustainability puzzle. Another key point is conscious consumption, buying with purpose. Before buying something new, ask yourself, do I really need this? Will I use it often? Can I borrow, rent, or buy it secondhand instead? The less we consume, the less waste we create. And there's something freeing about not being controlled by consumer culture. It helps you live lighter, both mentally and environmentally. Let's also touch on the social aspect of sustainability. Living greener isn't only about saving trees, it's about improving quality of life for all. Supporting local farmers, fair trade businesses, and community-based projects strengthens both people and the planet. When you buy local, you reduce transport emissions and support livelihoods in your area. When you buy fair trade, you ensure workers are paid fairly and treated ethically. Sustainability, at its heart, is about balance between people, planet, and profit. But here's the honest truth: changing habits is hard. Humans are creatures of comfort. We like routines that make life easy, not complicated. So the key to a greener lifestyle isn't guilt, it's motivation. It's about making sustainability fun and rewarding. Set small challenges for yourself, like a plastic-free week or biking to work twice a week. Celebrate progress, not perfection, and don't underestimate the power of influence. Talk about sustainability with friends. Share eco-friendly tips online. Join cleanup drives or community garden projects. The more people get involved, the faster the message spreads. Remember, sustainability grows through conversation and connection. Now let's imagine something. It's the year 2030. Cities are quieter because electric buses glide silently through the streets. People carry reusable bottles and bags as a normal habit. Homes are powered by clean energy. Food waste has dropped dramatically because everyone values what they eat. That future isn't science fiction. It's possible, but only if we start building it now. Living greener doesn't mean living less. It means living better, more intentionally, more mindfully, more connected to the world around us. And the beauty of it is, every step you take creates a ripple effect. You might inspire your neighbor to recycle, your coworker to bring a reusable mug, your parents to plant a small garden. That's how change happens, quietly, consistently, from one person to another. So, before you end your day today, take a minute to reflect. What's one small thing you can change tomorrow to make your lifestyle greener? Maybe you'll bike to work, eat a plant-based lunch, switch off your lights earlier, or say no to plastic straws. Whatever it is, start there. Because sustainability doesn't begin in government meetings or corporate boardrooms. It begins with us. You know, one of the most exciting things about living in this era is that we're witnessing a green revolution happening right before our eyes. It's not just about individuals making changes. Entire industries, cities, and even countries are rethinking the way we produce, consume, and coexist with the planet. Technology, once blamed for many environmental problems, is now becoming one of our strongest allies in solving them. Take renewable energy, for example. In the past, solar panels and wind turbines were expensive, inefficient, and only used by a few idealists. But today, they're everywhere, on rooftops, farms, and even floating on lakes. What used to be alternative energy is now mainstream, and the shift isn't just about technology, it's about mindset. Companies and governments are realizing that green innovation isn't just good for the planet, it's good business. When you save energy, you save money. When you reduce waste, you reduce costs. Sustainability, in other words, is becoming the new profitability. Look at electric vehicles. 10 years ago, owning one was a luxury. People joked about how you could drive only a few miles before needing to recharge. But today, electric cars are faster, cheaper, and smarter. Charging stations are popping up everywhere, and car manufacturers are racing to go fully electric within the next decade. The transition is unstoppable. Even public transport is going green, from electric buses to bike-sharing systems that make urban life cleaner and more efficient. Imagine cities where the air smells fresh, where noise pollution is low, where people walk or cycle to work without worrying about smog or traffic jams. That's not a dream. It's already happening in places like Copenhagen, Amsterdam, and parts of Singapore. And it's not just transportation. Buildings, one of the biggest sources of carbon emissions, are getting smarter too. The rise of green architecture is changing how we think about urban spaces. New designs focus on natural light, airflow, insulation, and renewable materials. Some buildings now even generate their own energy through solar panels or capture rainwater for reuse. Nature and design are working together again, after decades of being apart. But here's something interesting. The green movement isn't only about big technologies or large-scale policies. It's also about small innovations that make daily life more sustainable. Think about smart thermostats that automatically adjust temperature to save energy, or home gardens where people grow herbs on their balconies. Think about reusable packaging startups or apps that connect neighbors to share food instead of wasting it. These little inventions are quietly changing the way we live. And yet, for this transformation to be truly effective, we need something even more powerful than technology: education and awareness. Without them, people may never fully understand why sustainability matters or how to practice it. Schools that teach environmental literacy, workplaces that promote eco-friendly habits, and media that spread green awareness, these are the real catalysts for change. Let's take a moment to imagine what a green lifestyle could look like in every part of our daily routine. When you wake up, your home might be powered by renewable energy from solar panels on the roof. The air inside is clean because you use non-toxic cleaning products and have indoor plants that purify it naturally. You step into the kitchen and make breakfast with locally grown vegetables and fruits, bought from a farmer's market instead of imported goods wrapped in plastic. When you get dressed, you put on clothes made from sustainable materials, maybe organic cotton, bamboo, or recycled fibers. They're comfortable, long-lasting, and you know they were made ethically. You head out to work on your electric bike, passing others who are doing the same. The city feels different, calmer, cleaner, quieter. At the office, there's a culture of sustainability too. Lights turn off automatically when no one's around. Everyone uses digital documents instead of printing. Lunch breaks involve reusable cutlery, and leftover food goes into compost bins instead of trash cans. The company even rewards employees for eco-friendly behavior, like carpooling, volunteering in tree planting programs, or joining community cleanups. This isn't a fantasy. It's a vision of what's already beginning to happen. And the best part? You don't need to wait for governments or corporations to make it real. You can start right now, in your own way. Because sustainability grows through habits. The more consistent you are, the more natural it becomes. Maybe you start composting your kitchen scraps, switching to eco-friendly detergents, or using less water. Over time, these small habits become second nature, part of who you are. Now, let's talk about something many people forget: mental sustainability. We often talk about saving the planet, but we rarely talk about saving ourselves. Modern life is fast, stressful, and full of distractions. Living sustainably also means slowing down. being more intentional with your time and attention. It means consuming less not just in terms of products, but also in terms of digital clutter, noise, and negativity. Have you ever noticed how spending time in nature resets your mood? The simple act of walking in a park, feeling the breeze, hearing birds, it calms your mind and reconnects you with something deeper. That's part of sustainability too, sustaining our emotional and mental well-being. Because when we feel grounded, we make wiser, kinder choices for ourselves and for the planet. Sustainability at its core is not about deprivation, it's about balance, finding harmony between comfort and conscience, progress and preservation. It's about realizing that we don't have to give up everything we love. We just have to love things more responsibly. Let's look at some inspiring examples of how individuals and communities are redefining the green lifestyle. In Japan, there's a small town called Kamikatsu that's on a mission to produce zero waste. The residents separate their trash into over 40 categories for recycling, reuse, or composting. It might sound extreme, but it works, and it has become a model for sustainability around the world. In Rwanda, plastic bags have been banned since 2008. What started as a strict policy has turned into a cultural pride. Today, Kigali, the capital, is one of the cleanest cities in Africa. That's what happens when collective discipline turns into a shared identity. In Sweden, the concept of flygskam, or flight shame, has encouraged people to reduce air travel and choose trains instead. It shows how language and social norms can influence behavior on a national level. In the United States, more cities are committing to zero-emission targets, and communities are building local repair cafes where people bring old items to fix instead of throwing them away. It's practical, social, and sustainable all at once. These examples prove one thing: green living is contagious. When people see others doing it, they want to be part of it. It creates a sense of community, a shared mission that goes beyond borders or backgrounds. But let's be honest, we can't talk about green lifestyles without addressing the elephant in the room: consumerism. We live in a world that constantly tells us we need more clothes, more gadgets, more upgrades. Yet, the more we consume, the less satisfied we often feel. True sustainability begins when we redefine what enough means. Ask yourself, do you buy things to fulfill a need or to fill an emotional gap? Do you replace something just because it's broken or because it's outdated? Learning to appreciate what we already have is one of the most sustainable mindsets we can cultivate. And let's not forget the importance of community action. One person can start a ripple, but together, we can create waves. Neighborhood cleanup. Drives, recycling campaigns, community gardens, these small local efforts create visible change and connect people. When you work side by side with others to protect your environment, you realize that sustainability isn't just about nature, it's about relationships. In many ways, living green is about returning to simplicity, not in a nostalgic sense, but in a conscious one. It's about finding joy in what's real, cooking a homemade meal, growing a plant, fixing something with your own hands, walking instead of driving, spending time outdoors instead of scrolling through screens. Those experiences make life richer, not poorer. Now let's talk about the role of social media in all this. On one hand, it can be a problem, fueling trends of overconsumption and unrealistic lifestyles. But on the other hand, it's also a powerful tool for change. Platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube are full of eco-influencers who share practical ways to reduce waste, reuse creatively, and live more consciously. The green lifestyle is becoming mainstream because of storytelling, and that's something to celebrate. And yes, there's a fine line between inspiration and pressure. You don't have to be perfect to live sustainably. Maybe you still use some plastic or you can't afford organic groceries. That's okay. What matters is awareness and intention. Sustainability isn't a competition. It's a journey. See, the beauty of this lifestyle is that it aligns with so many values: mindfulness, compassion, simplicity, and gratitude. When you choose to live greener, you also become more patient, more aware, and more connected to your surroundings. It's like a quiet revolution happening inside you. So, if you ever feel overwhelmed, remember this: start small, stay consistent, and never underestimate the power of example. Each reusable cup, each plant-based meal, each walk instead of a drive, they all matter. They add up, just like drops forming an ocean. And maybe one day, when future generations look back, they'll see that we were the generation that turned things around, not because we were forced to, but because we cared enough to act. Let's close today's episode with a thought. Sustainability begins where gratitude grows. When you're thankful for clean air, you're less likely to pollute it. When you're thankful for food, you waste less. When you're thankful for nature, you protect it. Gratitude turns responsibility into love, and love is the most powerful. Motivation for change. So next time you take a walk outside, look around. Notice the trees, the sky, the sounds of life around you. This is the planet we call home. Beautiful, fragile, and generous. The least we can do is give something back. Thank you for tuning in to this 2-part series on how to make your lifestyle greener. I hope it's inspired you to make small but meaningful changes in your daily life. Remember, living sustainably isn't about being perfect. It's about being aware, intentional, and kind, both to the earth and to yourself. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to share it with someone who might need a little eco-motivation today. And as always, stay mindful, stay inspired, and stay green.